Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. It's Nancy here from American Pet Professionals, and I'm so excited to be back for our second season of our live video show, Digging into the Pet Industry. So, wherever you're watching from, thank you for being here. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you're listening to our podcast, thank you for listening. So, I am so thrilled to introduce you to our next guest, APP member, Vasi Siedman, the founder of Petpix World. Hey, Vasi!
Hello, Nancy. I'm so excited to be here, and hi to everyone who is watching live or listening.
So excited to be here. And at the time that we're recording this, it is the end of January, and I just met Vasi in person for the first time at New York City Meet the Breeds over the weekend. So that was a really nice chat.
Yes, it was fantastic. I just was so excited finally to meet you in person.
Same. And I couldn't believe it because I know we didn't let everybody know that you were going until you were there. And I was like, wait, what? I'm going to get to meet you in person. So I was really happy.
Yeah, we
So,
got lucky.
yeah, go ahead.
No, we got lucky for sure. I didn't know myself, and I said, "Well, I might as well tell people where I'm going." The next thing I know, you said, "Oh, Vasi, I will stop by to meet you," and then I had a lot of people DMing me, messaging me. I'm like, "I need to start coming more often to New York." Anyway, my heart is there.
Well, I'm glad you got to go, and now you're back in sunny Florida. And yesterday it was really warm here. Now it's flurrying a little, so it's kind of hilarious. But I want to tell that on our show here, we jump right in. So we're going to get started right away. And I want to know, start from the beginning. When did you get started in the pet industry?
Well, first of all, I will go back to when I came to this country, which was almost 13 years ago. And once I learned to speak English because I barely spoke the language, eventually I started working for a photographer, and he kept asking me, Vasi, do you want to specialize? And then when I opened my own business, I started specializing in pet photography, which was going back 2015. And about 2017, 18, all my clients in my local area, I live in West Palm Beach area in Florida, kept asking me, Vasi, can you give us some tips to take pictures when you're not around? And this is how Petpix, at that time Petpix Academy, was born 2019 as an educational platform for phone photography. And nowadays it's Petpix World.
Wow. So 2019. So you've been in the industry for a few years now, but you're still newer to the industry. So that's exciting.
It is very exciting, and I would say newer because I kind of decided every year it's a new opportunity for me to branch out our platform and to broaden the horizon of our followers. And every year I do introduce something like very big and major, and I'm so excited about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you started with pet photography. What made you start taking photos? I know you mentioned when you were, back in your home country, but what really made you interested in taking photos of pets?
Well, at that time, my husband and I, we couldn't have kids. And one day my mom told me, listen, I tell all the neighbors about your two kids. And I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? She said, yeah, you have, a kitty cat and a dog. And even if I am their second mom, still, I was their mom. Yeah. And then I realized, oh my gosh, there are other people like us. And I looked around in our area and I saw, baby photographers, wedding photographers, and suddenly I really saw that we didn't have a good pet photographer. And I said, I'm raising hand. I'm going to become the pet photographer in my area, which I was very grateful. I was pretty much able to achieve in only 1 year since I started my own business.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I love
Thank you.
photography. I'm not a professional, but I've been doing it since I was a little kid with the little film camera that you had
Oh,
to
wow.
roll forward and backwards. Most people under my age would probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but the little 110 cameras, right? And now we're so
Yes.
fortunate that we have digital
Yes.
cameras and cameras on our phones and all the things. So you started taking photos, and that passion of photography and taking pet photos, excuse me, you turned that into a passion and a business. When did you start offering courses? Because I know you offer a lot of different courses for photography for both pet parents, right, and pet
Yes.
professionals. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, I would say that since I launched the platform at 2019, I kind of start teaching, but really I develop like our signature training probably 2020 in the
Okay.
summer. And I never will forget, I was part of a mastermind, and one of our friends told us, he said, listen, until you allow your fear to take over and you don't go to do this life and you don't follow your passion, you're making people struggle. And at that moment I said to myself, Vasi, you cannot be selfish. Pass your fear, because let's face it, I'm a foreign, I do have accent, I do write with some mistakes, but I felt that there is much more I can give if I don't think about myself.
Yeah, that is so true. You were lucked out that you went to that mastermind because it is
Yes.
true. We often have fear in launching a product, something new, a course, anything when it comes to business, right? Are people going to like
Yes.
it? Is it good enough, right? We all have all those self-doubt. So I'm glad that you went through that mastermind. And what kind of courses do you have?
Well, I would say my best class is the master class, where I teach people to take pictures with their cell phone, and I teach them all. So I always tend to teach more, but the best news is that I simplify it so much. And to be honest with you, teaching people actually allowed me, even in my career, since I'm still active photographer, to absolutely simplify. So this is the best class. But as you know, nowadays we do have a magazine and a podcast, which I would say that it's more of our main, I think, what we are known for word-wise.
Right, right. Yeah, it's important though to know that you have those courses out there because people are
Yes.
probably looking for them. And whenever you're creating a course to simplify it is so smart because for myself, I have to edit myself so much that it's not always easy because you want to give them all the info, but you also don't want to overwhelm. So I really love that. So you spoke about the podcast. Tell us about your popular podcast and how long you've been podcasting for a while now, correct?
Yes, we launched that again, one big thing every year. So March 5th, 2021 was when we launched the podcast. At that day, made it to top 10 in US in our category, which absolutely kind of sets a
Wow.
new path. I know I was so grateful and continue being very grateful to all of our listeners and followers. But also, what happened is after we launched the first sets of episodes, the first one afterwards was with celebrity catwalk post in the city, which completely, I never even imagined in a million years that we are going to go into pet fashion industry
Mm,
and live stream and brought it to the world. And that's what happened. The moment I launched this podcast, everyone kept asking me, are you going, and etc. So then I went, and I said, well, I came up with this idea to interview the designers. So I ended up interviewing over 20 designers. We even had a podcast marathon because I had so many episodes. I'm like, okay, I like to do everything on Vasi speed. And so I had weeks I launched 5. I had weeks I launched 7.
wow.
And the next thing I knew, we hit our 100 episodes in September. And
Wow.
that's kind of everything started.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
crazy at the
I
same
know it is. It
time.
is. And nowadays we are actually in the half percent globally ranked podcast, which I'm very
Wow.
grateful for.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
really
you.
an incredible feat. You know, our podcast is still an infant and it's a lot of work. We do 2 episodes a week. So I commend you on all of
Thank
those
you.
episodes and everything that you do. And I know you touched upon, live broadcasting from different events. Can you talk about that a little? Because I know when we first met, you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna be, gonna be at," and I thought you physically were gonna be there. You're like, "No, no, no, we're live broadcasting. Somebody's gonna hold the camera for us, and we're gonna broadcast it." And I thought that was pretty genius. Can you touch upon that a little bit?
Absolutely. So, being a photographer, I'm also very good graphic designer. And doing so many live things virtually, it really taught me like great skills. So practically what we do, it's at the event. It doesn't matter what type of pet event it is. And I design amazing slides and we are able to share with the world the event. So practically people have as much experience being there through watching it on Facebook or Instagram or listening this as a podcast. And this is our way of supporting pet businesses or pet rescue organization, which I'm really big supporter like you too. But it's a lot of fun. It's like awesome because we can showcase a lot of different angles, and I can showcase pictures and slides, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I
It's
was
really
at an
great.
event and somebody was holding a camera and they were like, "I'm broadcasting for Vasi," and I was like, "You
Yeah,
are? That's so
yeah,
crazy." I was like,
it
"Well,
is.
you were there, but you weren't physically there, right?" So
Yeah,
I think that it's so cool that in our world that we can do that, right? It's
yes.
a great way to support those people and be at events that you might not be able to get to physically. So let's talk a little bit about how many podcast episodes do you have? That is one question I wanted to ask you. You told
Oh,
me that
I
on
would say,
Saturday.
yes, I would say over 280.
Wow.
And keep in mind, friends, since we are recording or live broadcasting, I took about month and a half off because I was in Europe visiting my family, and I said, you know what, for the first time, I'm giving myself a break.
Yeah.
But we are resuming. We are like completely kind of. I changed the music, I changed the intro and the outro because I feel that we keep growing and we keep pivoting. I am very big on listening our audience, and just I said, well, it's time to change again. Come on, it's about to turn 3 years for our podcast. No, it's 2 years. Oh my gosh, 2 years! Wow. And I'm like, let's do it, Vasi. So we are about to change, everything and launch it this week.
That's awesome. Well, good luck with that launch and
Thank you.
congrats on 2 years. You said it's 3 years because it probably feels longer than that with the
It
amount of
really feels, yes, it
yeah,
really feels because this is only like you do a lot of interviews, and this is very small part of it. Actually, the interviews I have done, I probably have done over, I don't know, 500 to 600. So it's very like interesting. And every time you do a podcast or an interview, you learn. You are
yeah,
part of it, and you are like this fulfillment of being able to share the person's story. It's
yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% with that. That's why I love doing these too, because I'm learning from you, I'm learning from all of our guests. And every time we do something like this, it also brings your story to our viewers, and people that might not have known about you then get to learn and be inspired and be like, "Hi, I want to do something similar." So I think it's all good. So I know you talked about the fact that you have a magazine. So when did you start the magazine? Is it digital? Is it paper? Is it both?
Both.
Oh, I didn't know it
So
was both.
yeah, so again, every year, new challenge. So last year in January, I was talking to someone. And I said, "Well, I cannot go to Fashion Week in New York," and I said, "Well, Vasi, let's create our own." And while I was in the process of creating it, the day before our virtual fashion week, I call it Pep Fashion Week, I was looking at Professional Photographers of America magazine. I looked at it it was Sunday around 10:30, 11, drinking my coffee, and I looked at it and I said, huh, wouldn't it be amazing if we have our own magazine, since we do so many virtual events, live streams, support so many businesses and charities, just to be able somewhere to put our schedule so people are not wondering what we do all the time. So the next thing I know, I said, well, there needs to be a way, since we are known with our live streams and podcasts, to integrate it. So the next thing I know, 2 weeks later, I learned a completely new software, and exactly symbolic a year since we launched our podcast. Again, 2022, March 5th, we launched our first magazine.
Wow.
So our first magazine, this is magazine number 6. We are currently working on magazine number 7. What's unique about it is that we integrate videos of some of our interviews, but also people write their own stories, and we have and also our pet parents or pet businesses write their own articles. So first it's a digital version, and then they can find it in Amazon under Petpix World magazine. So that's the
Wow.
uniqueness. So it's really thick.
I was gonna say that does look pretty hefty over there. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and it's very unique style, and the designs, again, since being part of being a photographer, I just love design. So I can
Yeah.
do it all in one.
Yeah, and you're probably like me when you see somebody sends a photo to be put into the magazine, you're like, "Oh no, that needs to be high resolution and not pixelated to go into the magazine," right? It's hard because not
It is
everybody
hard.
has that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is hard, but I learned very early on. Since in the beginning I was teaching, that I have to let it go,
Yeah.
and so typically, as you know, you're working with so many business professionals, I decided to simplify it. So this is the reason why I communicate with most of the people via Messenger or via Instagram. We don't really even exchange too many emails. And I encourage them to email me the pictures, but on the end of the day, I try to work with everything. If anything, I will make it small because I just know our audience, and some people have older phones. So the most
Yeah.
important is to tell the story.
Right. I agree. I agree. You do have to progress over perfection, right? You have to move forward. It
Yes.
can't always be perfect. So, but I know that that's probably part of your eye.
It does. Oh yes, big time, big time. And I didn't mention, but we did our first fundraising event with calendar, and so that I would say was even more challenging the magazine because the first two magazine issues were difficult. Then the rest of it takes just time. But the calendar was big challenge because I'm like, we need a big picture to fill up a whole page here, friends.
Wow. Wow.
And designing it and giving people multiple options for design and etc. We also did a couple of pages with angels for babies who are not with us anymore. And one of the pages, I think we had 7 or 8. I'm like, how do
Oh,
you design and you think about the margins and the
yeah.
hole in the calendar? So I think the calendar actually took me a little longer.
Right, right. Yeah, they're not easy. I've done a
No.
couple of calendars in the past for my dog, and it was very time consuming. People are like, aren't
Yes.
you going to do another one? I'm like, nope,
No.
sorry. It's too much work. But I wanted to just pop in and say hello to some of our viewers. Megan Newton, hello, Megan from Hawaii. David Vowels from Pet Ortho Braces. And then we have Caroline Lewis is watching on YouTube Live. So we got a bunch of viewers. So
Wow.
hello to everybody. I hope you guys are
Hi.
doing well. So the new magazine is coming out soon. So that must
Yes,
take. Do you have help putting all
I
this stuff
do.
together?
Oh, I do. I cannot
Okay.
do it myself. I do have Mary Ellen. She's actually a pet clothing designer. She
Okay.
completely volunteered her time, and I do have other people on staff who help me. Nowadays, I can't do it all myself.
Good, good. Because that is a bit, when you're watching things like this as a solopreneur or somebody budding into the pet industry or any business, and you hear all these things and you're like, then they go and try to do it all on their own, and it's very overwhelming. So I'm glad to hear that you have help because I know it's
Yes.
not easy to do all of
No,
that.
it's not easy. And I think that one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs is to learn to let it go
Yeah.
and understand that you cannot do everything and you need to trust your people. Of course, sometimes if things they don't go perfect, you just need to embrace it, make the best of it.
Yeah.
I think that that's, we need to still gain and have a personal life.
100%. You have to have that downtime and, other interests because if we did pet all the time, you get burned out really quick. So let me
Mhm.
ask you this. I know you also have a Facebook community. Could you describe to our
Yes.
viewers and listeners what your community is about and what it means to you?
Oh my God, it's my heart and soul. Petpix, it's my heart and soul, and also our Facebook community. It's called Petpix World Facebook group. We have currently about 1,400, which is 1,400 for people from different countries. And the people, since we are a little more pet fashion oriented, people post pictures of their fur babies. They mention also the designers because I'm a true believer we need to support businesses. But the truth is that, again, as I said, every year I like to change a little bit. This year I am going to dig in a little more also to encouraging pet parents to do a little more for them. And I like to say that the way we love our fur babies, we do need to love ourselves. So I'm going in a great way to challenge people to spend quality time with their fur babies, but also to give the permission to themselves to kind of give at least 2 minutes a day to do things good for them. So I actually recorded my first meditation,
Oh,
which thank you, last week. So we'll continue doing podcasts, continue doing magazine highlighting events from all around the world, but also we'll encourage people to kind of value themselves. I think Petpix, it's also very encouraging and uplifting platform.
yeah, I would
Um,
agree.
yeah, so it's very important for me because I feel that I have a saying. I say things happen to us, but we have a choice to decide. And I encourage people to look from the sunshine side of things and just with gratitude. with just gratitude.
Yes. Yeah, and that's not always easy to do if you're
No.
completely overwhelmed by what's going on, whether it's in your personal life or taking care of a young child or children and all of the pets that you have. So I know you're a mom also to a 6-year-old. What is it like being a very busy pet professional, entrepreneur, having a team helping you, and a mom at the same time?
It's not easy at all. It's so funny. My daughter, who by the way loves doggies, her last birthday was with dog team, and I didn't have anything to do. She picked it out
Aw.
herself. She says, "My mommy takes pictures of doggies," and then she will go look at the magazine and do everything what I do. So she is very proud of me. It's not easy, but I have been working a lot on self development and trying to learn how to deal with. And by dealing, because as you know, those are two businesses. I do have a new one, the third one. And so I just try to do one thing at a time. It's
Yeah.
just one thing at a time. And that's why I tell people, as much as I love you, friends, sometimes I may not respond right away, because it's the same like if I'm doing with podcasts with you, you wouldn't like me to answer to somebody else. So I just tell people, just weekends you may not see me all the time on social media, because I do need to charge my battery, so I can continue being creative and make other people and other pets and help other pets around the world to live better life.
It's so important, and I love the example that you're showing for your daughter, right? That you're
Thank you.
doing all these things, but you're also making sure that you take the time for yourself and your family. Like you said, you took them, was it 5, 6 weeks that you went back to Europe and
Yeah.
all of that? Yeah, it's really, really important. So let me ask you this. For someone that is watching, that is thinking about starting a pet business, whether it's a podcast, a magazine, photography, whatever it is, what piece of advice would you give them as they're starting out?
Believe in yourself. And do you know what? So when I decided to become pet photographer, everyone around me looked at my face and said, "You cannot do it, Vasi." And gratefully, I have a very supportive husband, and he said, "Vasi, you can do it." Nowadays, I do it for my people,
Hmm.
because they are the one of the purposes I wake up in every morning. And I just will tell you, believe in yourself. uh, Everyone has their ups and downs.
Yeah.
Typically, in the beginning of the year, after the holidays, people tend to go a little into depression. Entrepreneurs as well. It
Hmm.
doesn't discriminate. And just believe in yourself. Sometimes have a vision board. And if you need, print some of the feedback of people, how much they kind of, you make the impact in their life.
Yeah.
And just have this, turn it to your superpower.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important. I have a lot of really nice messages hanging up in front of my desk from people because sometimes you're not having the best day and you have to remember to read that and like you said have that gratitude and be like, "All right, forget that ridiculous issue that I was having. Let's move
Yes,
forward," right? And it's not always easy to
exactly.
do, but I love that. I love that. So, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever received from somebody as you were starting out your business?
Be yourself. To be honest with you, a lot of people kind of try to please everyone,
Mhm.
but the moment when, that's why we keep hearing, be authentic, be
Yes.
yourself,
Yeah.
because the truth is that if you're yourself, you're going to continue enjoying doing what you do, even if you have your moments of not sleeping too much or whatever else come with it. But being yourself, it continue bringing you joy, and you want to continue learning and growing, and you never know what one contact, like let's say I met Nancy,
Yes.
or just you never know what door it's waiting for you to be open. And just take a chance, embrace it, don't be afraid. Sometimes we do make mistakes, but as long as we own them and we learn from them, that's what truly matters the most.
I love that. You saying be authentic and be yourself and move, take that leap, go for it. There's a quote, and I'm probably going to say it wrong now because I was thinking about it as you were saying it. But it says, be yourself because everybody else is already taken.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Right? And I
Yeah,
love
that's
that quote
amazing.
because it's so true. Like a lot of
Yes.
people, you can get inspired by other people. I totally get that. But if you're trying to be them, it's not going to work out. You have to be yourself. So I really love that advice. So thank you for sharing that.
My
So
pleasure.
is there anything that I didn't ask you that you're working
Yes.
on? Tell us
Yes.
about anything that I didn't ask you about.
Yeah, well, so people, I told you I have 3 businesses. Well, this is my third one. Again, keep in mind you never know when the doors will get open for you. So, a few years ago, I photographed Gizmo for a book cover. And then last year, Suzanne and I, we started working on creating. Again, just embrace your talents. So Gizmo are actually a puppets crew. They have their own videos. And what I do is I design the stuff. As right now, it's as a calendar. And again, pet related, they're pups,
Cute.
you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that's what it is. And there will be activity books. So again, it's pet related. But I just want to say, Petpix it's for the pet parents and the fur babies. And this is for the other future, which are the kids and again pet related. So no one said that you're still into the pet industry. It's just
Yeah.
different angles.
Yeah, you're covering all your bases, the kids, the parents, and the pet professionals.
Yes, exactly.
You have a three-pronged approach. I love it.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. What do you like to do when you do take that downtime? When you're like, I'm shutting my phone off, I'm not answering any emails, I'm not going to look at the Facebook group, any of that. What is it that you do to have your own self-care? Not necessarily your family stuff, but for you personally.
Okay, so again, going to the rule 3 things, right? First, it's actually walking. I
Mhm.
love to walk. I love to look nature and birds. It's kind of my passion. So I listen music with my earphones and walk in my neighborhood. This is the first one. Of course, I don't need to say that I love spending time with my family.
Right.
And to be honest with you, the third one, it's actually, believe it or not, but watching TV shows. I kind of give break to my brain because,
It's
as we know,
escapism. You can just
yes.
go and just not think of anything. I know, I
Yeah.
know.
So that's what I do. I love, I watch my TV shows and just kind of say bye, to this world. Let me escape, and when I
Yeah.
come back, but you know what? That's one very important thing. When you do any of those things, give yourself permission and do it fully and be present. Don't feel any guilt, because then
Yeah.
when you come back from it, you'll be recharged and you can be more productive.
Yes, I agree 100%. If you're watching TV, shut off your phone. Don't put it near you because you'll end up looking at something on your phone and then you're distracted and your escapism went away. Or the same thing when you're out for a walk, enjoy the nature, look at the birds. I am with you on that as well. I love to go and be in nature as well. That's my downtime. I don't look at my phone and maybe I'll take a picture of my dog, but that's about
That's
it.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I can tell you, I learned the art of putting my phone do not disturb.
Yes.
And I actually do that. Please, friends, don't think Vasi, it's crazy. I really would encourage you. You have, sleep mode and etc. I tell my family, if I go for a walk, I tell my husband, please call me. My phone might be do not disturb, and that's the only way you can reach out to me.
Yeah.
Because it's important. You need your time, and also check the way your social media is set up so you don't get notification to get
Oh God. Yeah,
overwhelmed.
yeah.
So it's important. If you want to grow in your business,
Hmm.
you need to start acting like it today, not
Yes.
tomorrow, today.
Yeah, I love that. I don't understand any notifications. That I had those off my phone for years. I don't want to know about anything that's happening. It's bad enough when you open, you get that little red dot on different social media, right? That's the lure to
Yes.
suck you in, right? To look at what's going
Yes.
on. So I love that. And the do not disturb is really important and setting those boundaries for your clients, for yourself, for your community. It's so important. You're not being mean, you're not being disrespectful, you're not being unhelpful, you're setting those boundaries so you could be the best that you can be. I really love that you brought that up because I think it's so important. And a lot of younger entrepreneurs, they just want to be 24/7, the hustle and the grind, all the things, but you got to calm down with that. I think it's important to be available, but not 24/7.
I do agree with you completely. And I just want to tell you, friends, that the moment when you pass your fear and you do it, your clients, it doesn't matter who it's your ideal client, are actually going to respect you more.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how things actually change.
Yep.
I cannot tell you. Do you know nowadays people even ask me, really? You can meet me? wow. And just because I embraced that I matter, I am important, and you are important as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that. Well, is there any last thing that you wanted to add for Petpix World? Well, we're going to put your website and everything in the comments if you want to tell us where you can go to find you.
Absolutely. So, friends, you can find me under Petpix World, and it's with X, so it's petpixworld.com. You can find me also under Vasi Siedman. It's Siedman. And if you have a child, we actually do a lot of fundraising events with Gizmo for Kids, for hospitals and etc. You can find us under Gizmo4 with the number kids.com. And just if you have any fun events, let's bring them to the world and live stream. There will be a lot of fun.
I love it. Well, Vasi, thanks so much for being here today. I'm so glad that you were able to be on. I'm glad that we were able to meet over the weekend in person finally. And I can't wait to see your next magazine and all the new things that you have coming out for this year.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me. Thank you for what you do for our industry. And friends, I would definitely encourage you, please share with your tribe about Nancy and about American pet professionals. It doesn't matter where do you live around the world. I think
Uh-oh. We lost her, but that was so sweet. Thank you, Vasi. Hopefully she'll come back in. But all right, guys. Well, we're going to pop out. Thank you so much, Vasi, for saying all that. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. And we'll be back next week for another show here on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube for digging into the pet industry. All right. Take care.